What's up, guys, and welcome back to the Dual Sense podcast. This is episode 13. My name is Jason. I'm one of your co hosts. I'm joined, as always, by Travis. Travis, how's it going?
Not too bad. I'm just lost in a couple of new conspiracies I've been reading about.
Ooh, what are they?
That new Coke was a conspiracy to make
Hmm,
people really like old Coke, that they basically released this new thing for pub.
really?
Yeah, I don't know if they're that smart. That's like a pretty, it's kind of a shrewd, counterintuitive thing. I don't know if people are that smart.
So, people hated New Coke, if I remember correctly, right?
Yeah, I think we were dead when it happened. Well,
Yes, we
unborn.
were. We, correct. We were unborn. It was clear, right? It was a
No,
clear
that's
Coca
Crystal
Cola.
Pepsi,
That's Crystal Pepsi.
which
Okay.
which people didn't like either. I think Crystal Pepsi made you have diarrhea issues.
Mm.
Wait, I might have made that up. One of them did.
Was Crystal Pepsi the answer to New Coke?
That's a good
Or
question. I'm just stuck on the
mm,
Coke conspiracy right now. Who knows? That seems like something
okay,
Pepsi would do. They are really the Microsoft of Coke products.
sure. What's the other one, or is that the only one?
That I've been reading about. I've been trying to figure out why people think the Earth is flat, and I can't.
Mm.
I can't put my finger on it other than just I guess people are bored. Even though we've known it's round since like I don't know 300 BC.
I've already explained this to you. You hate when I tell you that in the video game industry that America, Europe, so on is considered the West, and that Asia, Japan, China is considered the East. You hate when I tell you
I
that
really
because you
do.
you your retort is that we are also east of Japan and China, which is true. Which is true. But if you look at the map that everybody has in school, we're always on the far left of the map. Correct?
Our map that we get taught on, sure, but I always wondered if you're in China and they show you a map, do they put China in the middle of the map because they are
Mm,
it's like, hey, we're in the middle. Like all of our maps, we're always in more in the middle.
mm,
I always wondered
fair.
that. If they split it by landmass, like, if they're a European centric, do they put it do they slide us over? That would still make us to the east though. So maybe you're right.
Hmm.
I don't know.
I don't know. I don't either. I don't either. Well, Travis, for the uninitiated or the noobs out there, we are a weekly PlayStation podcast where you and I get together every week and discuss all of the news, rumors, upcoming game releases, and a little bit more in the world of PlayStation from the last week. You can find us on all of the usual suspects for podcasting services, such as Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and several others. You can also find us on YouTube if you prefer to listen there. And if you want to reach out to us and engage with us, you can find us on Twitter at the DualSense Pod. And we also dabble in video game streaming occasionally. Travis usually streams some sim racing, and I just stream whatever feels right. This past week, we streamed Marvel's Avengers. So if you're interested in seeing our shenanigans on the games, you can find us at twitch.tv/the DualSense Podcast. And without further ado, talk to me about what you've been playing this past week.
Well, I might have made a mistake this week. I didn't stream F1 when I played and I won the
Mm.
race.
Oh, you're now you've got a superstition, don't you?
Yeah, so I don't
Here we
really know
go.
why I didn't do it. I started to do it and then I was like I just I'd never been to the track before. There's a lot of ifs and whatnots about it. And one of the things I hate about streaming something that I've never done before, especially if it's a track I've never raced before, is just like you're setting yourself up for just a million things about how dumb you are and how you aren't driving the right angles and this, that, and the other. There's a process to learning a track. So even if I open up the stream and say, hey, I'm learning the track, it's new, it doesn't matter. And I don't want to deal with all the BS comments like that. When I streamed me racing in Australia, the guy's telling me, you're taking the corners, you aren't driving deep enough in the corners. Well, yeah, I've never raced here before. It's going to take me, a little bit. It's take me an hour to figure this thing out. Anyway, I managed to win the race. I'm not really sure how. I think that the on F1, my team, my team, I don't have the best equipment yet. Um, I think the track just matched my driving style, and I like to run with as little downforce as I can, and that track matches up with that. It was Zandorf, which has these kind of big high speed banked corners, kind of like you see in NASCAR, which is you don't
Hmm.
see that a lot in an F1 circuit. So I think it was all everything lined up. It lined up with my driving style, the setup I like to use. The weather was good. I didn't have to worry about driving in the rain. I think there was a crash behind me. Like all of it kind of lined up. So who knows? If I would have streamed, it probably would have been great. But I was trying to avoid all the clatter you get because that stuff really drives me up a wall.
I get it, but you realize that you missed an opportunity to put your win out into the universe.
Right, and it messed up the ether. So
Hmm.
now my feng shui is all messed up on the game. So the next time I stream, I'll probably crash on the first lap or something.
What else you been playing?
Well, we got our absolute shit pushed in on Call of Duty last night.
Hmm.
What were we doing? Twos?
Yeah,
Gun.
gunfight tournament.
Right. So I love the gunfight tournament. I love 2v2. I love the 3v3 we had for a few weeks there. And
Hmm.
it wasn't our night. We could not get past the stadium level. I mean,
Mm-mm,
it was bad.
it was. We didn't get past it. We played 3 tournaments. We didn't get past the first round. Any of the three.
I mean, I was getting shot in the back. Like there was one time where you died and you said behind you. This happened like twice. And you said behind you. And I turned. And as I shot that guy, another guy blew my head off. And that happened 3 or 4 times where you would hear the guy and or see him call, you make the call, I would turn, the other guy would sneak up behind me. It was incredible. I think the same thing happened to you.
Yes, it did. It was not our best night. It's so weird how we can just like get on some nights and we're just crushing, and then
Right.
we'll get on at other times and it's awful. So it's like we catch the wrong batch of kids, playing put to play against. And so anyway,
Right.
we abandoned that and played what else, Travis?
We played the Avengers.
Hmm.
Again, I'm the Hulk. I've continued that from the beta. I think we kept did we all keep our characters from the beta?
I changed to Captain America because he wasn't in the beta.
Right. Which is
Yeah.
cool. I'm having a great time. Again, I love watching the other people's specials happen while I'm in the midst of
Hmm.
some gaggle of buffoonery. And I love like I'll just see your shield hit like 2 turrets and then you'll karate kick it and then it'll hit a guy in the head. It's great.
Yes. I love the noises too. I love all the sound effects in the game.
Yeah, and they're like they fit so well.
Yeah, like you'll smash a guy and you'll like groan and go ah or whatever, and then I'll kick the shield and it'll go clang 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 like bouncing off everything. So
Right. So I got what did I unlock last night? My skin, or I call it a skin. I guess it's an outfit.
yeah, you looked like you were like
Some sort of tribal paint.
painted up head to toe. Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of wild. But anyway, yeah, I've just been smashing people, and I've unlocked the 2 things. My favorite thing I've unlocked with the Hulk is I can grab you or grab the enemy, and if I hit triangle, I will just jump in the air and smash them into the ground or smash them into another enemy. And that I love that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It's so visceral, like it's so satisfying.
I know.
That's a
I
good word for the game. The game is just satisfying. The
Yeah, it's
combat.
perfect. Yeah. So I also have been playing Avengers. Obviously, me and you and the guys we played last weekend, and I'm I texted you guys earlier this week about how I'm surprised where it's at on Metacritic with the score. It's like a 68 or
Oh, that's right.
69,
Yeah.
69 or whatever. And nice. And I know the campaign is very good and people pretty much universally like the campaign and they're turned off by the multiplayer. Here's what I'll say about it. You just described the combat perfectly. It's satisfying, it feels good, it's great to play with friends, and it's just kind of like chaos and all the skills and abilities are just flying around and whatever. It's awesome. But the part that does turn me off a little bit, which I think has turned other people off from what I can tell, is the Division 2 or Destiny part of it where you are getting all the loot constantly and
Yeah.
you got to manage your inventory constantly and whatever. So
I've never hated that though about games.
true. Like I have a love hate with it. Like if I get really if I get really cool stuff, like that's fine. But if I'm like if we do a couple missions and it tells me that my inventory is full and then I have to go and look through all this stuff that's like 10 levels lower than what I'm using and I have to like try and figure out if the boost is worth keeping and everything, like
Right.
I can see where it's overwhelming. So I have a love hate with it. So but
Yeah.
I understand why it turns people off and why they're not ready for that in like a superhero like Marvel game and why they made they may think that doesn't fit. But at the same time, as a live service game, which is what they decided to do, obviously from early on with this game, was to make it something that lasts for a few years at least, like Destiny or the Division. The common denominator there is what you said. It's the loot. Like, you have to have a system like that. You have to have gear. You have to have reasons to keep people playing.
Right. I don't know how else you do it. How else could you keep the live service going?
Like the characters are going to be cool. That's going to be one of the best parts, is getting
Right.
the new characters and stuff, periodically, and new missions and things like that. Like, that's cool, but you also want to have a reward system built in for playing the missions and stuff like that. So, and it's the trend too,
Correct.
and the Division and Destiny are successful. So, I mean, why not? So I get it. But anyway, I really love it. I enjoy it quite a bit. So played that this past week. Played Call of Duty with you that you mentioned. It was awful. And then played Red Dead Online for some challenges
Have you
per
been the deer
usual.
yet?
I haven't done the deer thing yet. It does look hilarious. So when I first saw that,
Can you wait? Can you ride a horse on with a deer?
I don't think so.
Oh man.
That'd be hilarious. So when I first saw that, I thought, wow, this is a this is a funny PC mod. And then
Yeah.
and because I saw it on Reddit, and then I was looking, like, reading into it a little bit more, and I was like, what? Wait a second. There's a update today, and you can be a buck. So it's legit. It's like a legitimate thing. You have to go buy this pamphlet or whatever, and you basically go on an acid trip or like a mushroom trip, and you become a buck. So pretty funny. And then you stay the buck until you decide, like, not to anymore, or until you get killed by a player.
Right.
So you can get
Gosh.
bow and arrowed by a player, like, as
I
the
wish
deer. So
I wish psychedelics actually worked like that.
right,
Like I don't want to do this anymore. I'm out.
right. It's funny looking. I haven't tried it yet, but we'll see. That's all I've been playing this week. And with that, let's jump into the news here. Number one, multi-platform games may not reach their true potential on the PlayStation 5, and it may be all Microsoft's fault, Travis. After the announcement this week of the less powerful next-gen Xbox, the Series S, several third-party developers took to social media to voice their concerns. For starters, Infinity Ward multiplayer designer David Minkner, who created the 2v2 gunfight mode, by the way, that we were just talking about, stated on Twitter that Microsoft is, quote, releasing a lower spec console that will serve as a bottleneck, end quote. But perhaps one of the most scathing commentaries on how the Xbox Series S will affect multi platform games comes from id Software principal engine programmer Axel Nightling. I hope that's how you say his name.
Beautiful. Beautiful name.
Axel was the lead developer on the recent Doom Eternal and said on Twitter, quote, really bummed about this RAM situation on the Series S. This isn't easy to compensate and drags down base spec quite a bit for next gen multi platform. RAM increase was already small compared to previous gen. Now it's almost non existent. He went on to explain that, quote, increasing sample counts a bit here and there for high settings isn't what you could truly have done with more power. Minimum spec matters, end quote.
Right.
Now, Travis, we're not a Xbox podcast, obviously. However, Xbox directly and indirectly affects PlayStation,
Hmm.
and even more so in this case, it seems like. So,
Right.
what are your thoughts on this?
Well, two things off the bat. One, there's always a development lag when you go to a new generation anyway.
Mm-hmm.
They always have, like GTA 5. We played it on the 3, we played it on the 4. There's other games that kind of come out because they want to make sure people who haven't bought the new system yet can play it on the old system. So there's always a little bit of lag there.
Right.
But generally, those are like yearly games we get, kind of like, whatever EA is doing or 2K is doing. And you kind of can see it there more so. When you start getting to, it's hard to say what I want to say without sounding like a PlayStation groupie. Look, the thing is I expect there to be some lag in between the generations. That's normal. What is frustrating is, like these guys said, you basically it's like they didn't consider the minimum spec. Like, I don't understand what your thought process is. And we've seen before that Microsoft basically worries about the lowest common denominator. And it reminds me of like basic universal income. Like, let's make sure that everybody has this instead of like, that's not what we should be doing. Like, we should make the best product we can
Mhm.
for the gamers. And I feel like we're missing the boat with this. And then, of course, it affects PlayStation because, we want whatever games coming out on both consoles. The developer wants to do that to maximize their profit, to maximize their audience. And then for it to run on Xbox, they have to sacrifice this, that, and the other so they can match their little bitty power spec on their, on their Series S. And then that makes me have a worse game on my PlayStation, right?
Mhm.
It's just like this isn't Microsoft's problem. Like, if I was them, I wouldn't care. Like, my job is to sell consoles, but
Sure.
it's just frustrating from my end as somebody who thinks these things are important.
Yeah, I as a PlayStation gamer and as someone who's going to play on PlayStation 5, and I think that a lot of PlayStation 5 players are going to feel this way. Like we've talked about before, that with the new generation, you should be able to get new experiences. You should be able to get, better gameplay, new features, better graphics, all this stuff. So it's disheartening to hear that from third party developers like Infinity Ward, id Software, big heavy hitters, that they believe that this is going to hold them back on their games that are going to come to all the platforms. And like you said, I understand that Xbox has to sell consoles, and there's no doubt that it's going to probably pay off for them having a $300 next gen console.
Mhm.
But at the same time, it's frustrating as a PlayStation 5 gamer to know that we're going to have a really great console, and we know we're going to have really great first party games because they're not going to be held back by anything
Right.
other than what the console can do itself. But everybody that's not a first party or a second party with a contract with Sony is going to have to work around this. And at the very least, it's going to take these developers more manpower and more time to develop these games.
Mhm.
Even if they decide, hey, it doesn't matter to us, it's not a big deal, we'll make it work, we're going to achieve our vision for this game, they're still going to have to spend more hours, maybe hire more people, figure out how to develop for another system,
Right.
and spend that time developing for, like you said, the lowest common denominator. At the very least, this could delay games. It could make
Right.
games more expensive to make, probably. It could make games take longer to come out. So, all of that is disappointing. You really want all of these things to complement each other. You want first party games. You want good first party games. You want good second party relationships and contracts. And then you want those really good third party games too, like NBA or Assassin's Creed or Call of Duty, whatever. And it's just disappointing to hear that there's a possibility or maybe a reality down the road that they're going to be held back in some way. And we're not going to see, maybe for some, but not all developers, that we're not going to get to see the vision that they had for their game.
Right.
Now, like you said, at the start of every console generation for the first, 1 to maybe 3 years, when developers, especially these cross multi-platform developers with multi-platform games, don't leave the old consoles behind for a while, right? Like the FIFAs of the world and the
Yeah.
Assassin Creeds and Call of Duties of the world, like and NBA, they'll hang on for a year or two. So that's going to happen by default. But when you get past that point to like the middle of the generation and later,
Mhm.
if this bottleneck spills over into that and starts doing all the things that I just talked about, then that's really going to be
Right.
disappointing. So,
It makes me wonder too. Let's use Call of Duty for example. So Call of Duty we can play cross-platform.
mhm.
And it makes me wonder if we get to a point where if Xbox is kind of lagging back with their hardware, is there a Series X version and then
Hmm.
another Xbox version? Is there two versions for the Xbox, or Is it to where you can only play cross-platform between PC and PlayStation, or Xbox and PC? Like, it kinda makes me wonder if they'll just kinda say, "Look, we have 2 development teams, but we're running basically 2 different platforms
Mhm.
that are completely not on the same power level," right? So maybe that's how they fix the issue to where they can still do what they want,
Mhm.
but it doesn't make one group of people kinda lose out on the experience. I would rather lose out on the experience because of my choice of buying a certain console as opposed to, uh, them being, held back because of what Microsoft did. And if it was the other way around, if PlayStation was doing this and I was a Microsoft guy, I'd be just as annoyed.
Yeah. That's a good point, and you know what it makes me think of? Do you remember I know you never played them, but do you remember or do you know the games, Shadow of Mordor games? You know what I'm
Right,
talking
yeah.
about?
Yeah, I remember those.
So, the first one, which was Shadow of Mordor, it was a cross-gen game between, PS3 and PS4, Xbox 360 and Xbox One, and I remember I'm pretty sure it was that game when it came out. So that game has the Nemesis system. Are you familiar with that? Where like when you kill the bad guys, they come back and they're stronger. Or if they kill you, they come back stronger. And if one kills you a bunch of times in a row, like that's your nemesis, and you
Right.
develop like this organic storyline throughout the game with them.
Yeah, yeah.
So whenever that game came out, they had that system and that feature on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, but they could not implement it on Xbox 360 and PS3 because
Right.
there wasn't enough power there. So I wonder, although this isn't as big of a drop between the Series S and the Series X.
Mhm.
It is graphically, but
Right.
as far as like CPU power, it's not. But it makes me wonder with what you said and just what we know about Xbox consoles, if we're going to get to a point, maybe even later in the generation, where developers say, "Look, we want to have this 500 player game mode. We can do it on PS5. We can do it on the Series X. We're not going to have it on the Series S. We just can't make it work." Or we're going to have it, but guess what? You're going to get to play with 100 people. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's what that I think that might be a solution that keeps everybody happy. I think that's fair. Like, you bought a lower version
Hmm.
of the console, so you're gonna have lower things. It's not like, I can't go buy a Camaro and it's the same as an SS.
Sure.
Like, it's just the way the world works. Like, it's fine.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Number two, a new batch of Amazon retail listings suggests that the PlayStation 5 may launch on November 20th, in Japan at least. Website PlayStation Universe reported that new listings for PS5 accessories, including the DualSense charging stand and 3D audio headset, have appeared on Amazon Japan. The release date for the accessories is November 20th, which could indicate that the console will release on that date. However, recent rumors of a staggered global launch for the PlayStation 5 could mean that this is the potential release date in Japan only. What are your thoughts?
So, this I think confirms our idea of the 13th. So we knew that this was a staggered release, and we've been told the West will get it first, which happens to be us. So if Amazon Japan is 100% correct with November the 20th, I think a 7-day head start for the West makes perfect sense.
That does make sense. Yeah. I It's going to be interesting. So I they all they've said is that it's going to launch globally, right? But
Yeah.
that doesn't mean that it's going to launch at the same time,
Mhm.
like we've talked about.
Right.
It's very I think when the 4 launched, North America got it and then Japan got it a week later.
Right. And then
Then
Europe was like after that.
Maybe, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I think it was another week after Japan, so, yeah, 2 weeks after North America maybe is when Europe got it. So, that very well could happen again, and if that's the case, if you're going off that history,
Mhm.
then it is possible that November the 13th could be the date for the launch. It's also possible that they launch it in every region on November the 20th, and maybe November the 20th is the release date.
Right.
The fact that these listings are out there on Amazon, though, with those dates, I'd say that something is definitely happening on November the 20th.
Yeah.
I mean, whether it's those things come out in Japan or the console and all that those accessories come out
Mhm.
everywhere or whatever, something's happening on the
Yeah.
20th.
It's a Japanese company, like, you'd think Amazon Japan would have a little insight, and you make a good point, though. Maybe the 20th is just accessories. Like, maybe the console comes out a few days before and you can't buy an extra controller or the new headset until the 20th. I could see them doing something like that to kind of have like a second wave of interest.
That's a fair point. The other, because we really don't have an idea of what's going on behind the scenes and how the pandemic is affecting logistics and
True,
supply
true.
chains and everything. So that could affect when the console and the accessories are going to release as well. It may have to be staggered by default. So we'll see. But this leads us into number three, Travis. The PlayStation 5 Media Remote will include dedicated buttons for popular content platforms when it launches. Website PlayStation Lifestyle reported that the remote will feature shortcut buttons for Disney Plus, YouTube, Netflix, and Spotify, according to a Brazilian website called Tecnoblog, who were able to review a copy of the remote's instructions. The Brazilian site also stated in their blog that the media remote will release on November 17th in Brazil, which coincidentally is also the release date for Disney Plus in that country. So here's another wrench, Travis. What do you make of
Right.
this?
So we talked about this a couple of podcasts ago about how we wondered if, PlayStation wants the narrative, but
Hmm.
who will release it? And here we have stuff from Amazon Japan, Disney Plus, some Brazilian website. We got stuff coming in from Croatia. Like it's hilarious that we get like this is like the fourth different date we've seen this week about some sort of thing coming out, right?
I know it's exactly what we talked about. All this stuff is like trickling out from all these other places, and they've got to hurry. They've got to hurry up with this
Well,
stuff.
it's
But
it's
we'll
definitely narrowing in the gap.
yeah. So now, presumably, we have three possible dates. Would you say we have November the 13th, we have November the 17th, and we have November the 20th, right?
Right. So technically the 17th would be before the 20th. Obviously, that's how days work.
Hmm.
And I guess Brazil is technically the West.
I do think it's interesting that that lines up with the date that Disney Plus launches.
Right.
However, I don't think it I don't think it would be unheard of for instance, the PlayStation to launch on the 13th and they not have Disney Plus until the 17th.
Yeah, I don't think that's a big deal.
I mean, that stuff happened with the Switch. It didn't have certain features available. It happens all the time. They didn't have the YouTube app on Switch,
That's
for
right.
however long and things like that. So things get added all the time post release like that. So that doesn't necessarily mean anything, I guess, there per se, but it's definitely happening within that week, like we've talked about. It's happening sometime between the 13th and the 20th. 13th and 20th are Fridays. The 17th is 1 week exactly after the Xbox launches.
Mhm.
It's
Which is
hard to
perfect.
say. Yeah, so either somebody is correct and somebody is wrong between Japan and Brazil, which are across the world from each other, obviously, or or those two regions and countries are getting those the consoles or those accessories at different times, which would point to a staggered global release. So it's a lot going on, a lot of moving parts. We'll have to see. Hopefully, we get some clarification here soon. Number four, PlayStation 5 exclusive Returnal may not be coming until 2021. Website DualShockers reported that former Sony Interactive Entertainment Europe user researcher Laura Gilbert listed a 2021 release date for the game on her LinkedIn work experience page. Although Gilbert is no longer an employee with direct knowledge of the project, a 2021 release for the game does sound rational, as developer Housemarque pulled away from their previous Battle Royale project, Storm Divers, in January of 2020 to transition to full production on Returnal, which had been in pre production 3 years prior to that. We haven't received a new title from the Finnish studio since 2017, when they released both Matterfall and Next Machina, which is one of my favorite games ever. What do you think? Anything about this? You think Laura is telling the truth?
I didn't realize it had been 3 years since Next Machina.
Mm-hmm.
I I feel like that was last summer. Anyway, I thought that 2021 was more realistic anyway, based off of not only what we had heard, but what little we've seen in the game didn't suggest it would be ready this year, as far as I was concerned.
Sure.
But I mean, I think 2021 might be better for it anyway, especially with the launch lineup it's looking like we're gonna have. It was probably better. I feel like that might have gotten lost a little bit, a little overshadowed.
Yeah, I think that it's going to be jam packed at launch with not only first party, second party stuff, but third party too. Obviously, like we've talked about with
Right.
Cyberpunk and Assassin's Creed, Watch Dogs, NBA, and everything. So, and Sony, from what we know, from what we've heard, that they want to keep that they want to keep the first year kind of like pumping, like games pumping out, right? So, I think Returnal would be great for 2021, and it makes sense. It adds up the fact that if they just went into pre-production in January, there's no
Yeah.
way that this game is
That's
going to be ready.
yeah.
Yeah, or no, I'm sorry, not pre-production, but if they went into full production in January, there's no way this game is going to be ready.
I would be curious about full production of a brand new game in 1 year, like, to come out.
Mhm.
That's crazy. I mean,
Yeah. I mean, it's not it doesn't seem like it's going to be a $60, full blown AAA game, right?
right.
They have not made those types of games, but at the same time, it still would take them more than a year to make a
Yeah.
game on a new console. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So,
I think it'll do better if it's kind of standalone or if it's in a gap in between maybe 2 AAA releases. I feel like to get the
yeah.
attention it seems like they wanted to have, it fits in much better next year.
This would be a great summer game. Like August.
Oh, yeah, like in your gap.
Yeah, like August, perfect time. So we'll see. Number 5, Cyberpunk 2077 developer CD Projekt Red had a lot to say this week regarding the upcoming open world RPG. For starters, after facing some bad press regarding microtransactions in the game's official Twitter handle tweeted out clarification regarding microtransactions, stating, quote, Cyberpunk 2077 is a single player game with zero microtransactions. One single purchase, no tricks, don't believe the clickbait, end quote. After facing more questions regarding the multiplayer aspects of the game, they went on to say, quote, Cyberpunk multiplayer slash online, which is a separate project, will have some microtransactions, but we said that a year ago already.
Right.
Like always, expect us treating your money with respect, end quote. So first off, what do you think about this?
I'm gonna put one foot on my soapbox. Do people fucking listen? They
No.
said this a year ago, like, it's a different game, and they've said I don't even know how many times they've said this because I've gotten tired of reading it. Listen, single player is what it is. There's no microtransactions. You buy the game, you play, yada, yada, yada. And they've said
Mm-hmm.
multiplayer will have some because of the way they
Mm-hmm.
structured it. They've said that, I don't know, 16,000 times. And then I get on Twitter, whatever it was, Monday or Tuesday, and we're having the same conversation we had 6 months ago.
Mm-hmm.
It just
I'm with
drives me insane.
I'm with you. I'm with you. There's no precedent for Cyberpunk ever doing anything like this. Like
Right. Or CD Project
for
Red.
sorry, for CD Projekt Red doing anything like this. Like they have had expansions in the past for their games, yes, but they have been proper expansions, 15, 20 hour expansions.
Which is worth my money.
They've charged you $20 for them. Yeah, exactly. What has led people after the fact of them just explicitly saying that we'll have microtransactions in online, but it's going to be okay basically. Then what has led people to think that there's going to be microtransactions in the single player? They're not going to do that. That's just not in their DNA, and
Right.
you should people should know better than that by now. So,
Yeah, conspiracy me thinks that, like, Ubisoft made a bunch of fake Twitter accounts and started trolling.
mm,
Conspiracy me loves stuff like that.
I mean, that is some stiff competition for Assassin's Creed and Watch Dogs and even that Immortals Phoenix Rising game.
Right.
I mean, that's 3 games that you know what I mean? You never know. We also, Travis, learned that according to PlayStation Lifestyle, CD Projekt Red president Adam Kaczynski shared on a recent earnings call with investors that all post-launch plans will be revealed prior to the game's launch, stating, quote, "You can expect a similar path to The Witcher 3 after release. You can expect more, actually. We're not going into too many details today, but everything will be clear before release," end quote. Elsewhere, website PlayStation Universe also reported from the call that Cyberpunk 2077's multiplayer will not release until sometime after 2021, and that it will, quote, be a standalone title, and all of Cyberpunk 2077's expansions and DLCs will release before the multiplayer experience, end quote. Any thoughts there?
I really like that they're gonna let us know kinda where the game's going with expansions
Mm-hmm.
pre-release, and I think the way that CD Projekt Red makes games, like we've seen with The Witcher, it's easier for them to do that. I wish that we could get this from more games, but for example, like Red Dead Redemption 2, there's probably no way that Rockstar could have told us what to expect expansion wise. I mean, they might have had some ideas. I'm sure they had storyboarded some stuff, but I feel like that they take a lot of cues from the community. So for them to say, "Hey, you're gonna have a photographer mode," they might not have known that when the game released.
Right. Yeah, that's very true. I think that this is the perfect way to do this. Just you can tell us they've already told us that there's going to be expansions. That's pretty much to be expected based on what they did with The Witcher 3. And now they're telling us that we're going to know everything up front. We're going to know basically the roadmap, like you were mentioning, of hey, the first expansion is going to be out in summer 2021. The next one's going to be out in winter 2021. Whatever.
Right.
So we're going to know all that stuff. The other cool thing about this is that they're going to focus on getting that stuff done. Then after all that's done, then they're going to move on to focus on the multiplayer, which is the way it should be.
Right.
That's perfect. Other developers should take notes. Finally, here, Travis, regarding Cyberpunk 2077, on the same earnings call, Kaczynski also confirmed that CD Projekt Red are preparing for the final certification process, and the game will see no further delays, according to PlayStation Lifestyle. Elsewhere on the call, CD Projekt Red Vice President of Business Development, Michael Nowakowski, revealed that the game will not increase in price on the PlayStation 5, saying, quote, "We already announced pre-orders for our game in the US going at $59.99, and we're not planning to change that price at the last minute," end quote. Any thoughts there?
So this confirms that we're really close to going gold.
Yeah, they're about done, and if they're submitting it for final cert, then the
Right.
game's fine. It's done
So this
basically.
would be awesome. Hopefully that I can't wait to see Reddit's going to be popping champagne. It's going to be wild. I'm not surprised about the price staying the same. I think that we've heard that before, but it's just like you said before about how we just said they're laying stuff out, how they're going to concentrate on the single player before the multiplayer, them keeping the price point the same. CD Project Red does things the right way. None of that's
Mhm.
surprising to me.
No, I'm glad that they're not going to go, 69.99 on the next gen consoles for this. It's a nice touch, and they know that they can continue to foster their brand loyalty that way. So that people will just spend the $10 on one of the expansions.
Right.
So it'll be fine. It'll work out in the wash. Number six, the next generation of video game consoles seems to be bringing along with it the next generation of game development. With great console power comes great responsibility, as they say, Travis.
Gosh, thank you for paraphrasing Uncle Ben.
Website PlayStation Lifestyle reported that a number of Ubisoft developers on LinkedIn now list their current projects as, quote, quadruple A games,
Okay.
end quote. Mm-hmm.
Why does that bother me so much?
According to PlayStation Lifestyle, developers working on Ubisoft games such as Beyond Good and Evil 2 and Skull and Bones make the bold claim on their profiles, as well as developers on unannounced games such as Ubisoft Bordeaux, whatever they might be working
Have
on.
they even made anything? Ubisoft
I don't,
Bordeaux? I don't remember them. I remember hearing like it's a thing.
dude. Ubisoft has so many studios; it's ridiculous how many studios they have. Let's see. So anyway, what are your thoughts on this? While I look up Ubisoft Bordeaux.
Well, the first thing I want to say is Skull and Bones does sound pretty awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Have you read anything about that? Are you familiar with it?
Yeah, they actually showed gameplay or
Right.
something of it, I think.
Yeah, it's so one of the things I hated about Assassin's Creed Black Pearl or whatever it was, uh,
Mhm.
I thought that it was really janky when I was trying to control the boats and it drove me crazy. But this looks like a lot of fun being a pirate with a bunch of boats.
It does.
Anyhow, we all know what AAA games are. We all know
Mhm.
the quality and what we expect, and it's like quadruple A gaming is just some marketing BS. It's just a bunch of fluff, and I hate it. Hate everything about it.
It's stupid. I don't even know why. I'm with you. I don't even know why they wanna say quadruple A. Why do that? Why do that to yourself? Like, just don't do it.
Well, it
Everybody's cool.
implies, yeah. So it's literally the greatest game of all time is a AAA game. Just pick one. It's a AAA game. It doesn't matter which one you pick. So you're gonna tell
Yes.
me you're gonna make 7, let's say you whatever, we have 7 developers that have quadruple A games. By nature,
Mhm.
it should be better than triple A game just by the title. It's like how the minor leagues work in baseball.
Mhm.
It's just silly.
You're just setting that you're sending the wrong message. You're setting the bar too high. whenever I swear, I promise you, the first time they show a trailer and then they show the next trailer a couple months later for whatever these quadruple A games are, and there's a slight graphical downgrade, they're gonna get crushed.
Yes.
They're gonna get crushed.
Right.
It's stupid. I don't know what marketing person thought this would be a good idea.
And then convince
Nobody,
everybody.
no. I have not seen anybody say, "Oh, I really wish we were getting like, you know, more triple A game experiences, like even better than
What does that
triple A."
even
Like
mean?
I don't know, like Red Dead Redemption. Nobody said that needed to be better. The Last of Us Part Two. Nobody said that needed to be more than what it was. Just don't do this to yourself, guys. I mean,
Yeah. They're creating something that's not real.
yeah, I'm with you. It's just a bunch of marketing bullshit. So, Ubisoft Bordeaux was founded in September 2017. So this is going to be their first solo game, has to be. They have served as a support studio for Annecy, who made Steep and is making that this new game that we're going to talk about shortly.
Right.
And they also support Ubisoft Paris and Ubisoft Montpellier.
Okay.
uh
Fucking nerd.
huh. So the studio is headed by Julian Mayo. I wish I could find it. Anyway, this is probably going to be their first standalone solo game. So,
Okay.
and they're going to make a quadruple A right out of the gate. Give me a fucking break.
And I feel like every French man is named Jacques or Julien. Those are the only two names they have.
That's it. Number 7, Travis, we received a wealth of new information on upcoming PlayStation exclusive Cana, Bridge of Spirits this week. As the newest cover story for Game Informer magazine, the developers sat down for a lengthy interview which revealed quite a bit about the game. First of all, we learned that the little creatures we saw in the first trailer are called the Rot, and they can be found hidden throughout the world. Once found, they are a part of your team for good, and they can be directed to move things to solve environmental puzzles, for instance, and also utilized in combat to distract enemies, and so on. Cana is not an open world game. There is a hub village and then connected regions from the hub. It'll also have certain PS5 advantages. For instance, all 100 rot that can be collected can be visible on the screen simultaneously on PlayStation 5. The game will also feature denser foliage, and the game boots from the PlayStation 5 menu in 2 seconds.
Ooh.
Crazy. Cana will also utilize the DualSense features, such as for drawing the bow and using heavy attacks. And finally, the game will cost less than $60 at launch, and it can be finished in a weekend. And there will also be a photo mode coming sometime after launch. What did not make the cut here in the notes, Travis, it was late breaking news today, is that this game, Cana Bridge of Spirits, has been delayed out of 2020 and will now launch in early 2021 on PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5.
Hmm.
So, what do you make of all this stuff? Anything stand out to you there?
Well, the game be finished in a weekend sounds a lot like a challenge.
Right?
Yeah, I didn't realize the game was that short until they said that, which maybe that's
Sounds
on
like a
me.
$30 game.
Right, and but the biggest thing I noticed was the PS5 advantages, and that kind of goes back to what we said
Mhm.
earlier about maybe developers could do some stuff like that to balance out the power issues or the RAM issues. So we're already seeing it kind of out off the jump with a few games. So that's kind of a proof of concept that kind of makes me feel a little validated.
Yeah, they're making a good use of the PlayStation 5's features. It sounds really cool. It looks really pretty too. I don't know if you've seen
Right.
any screenshots of it.
Yeah, it definitely does. They did a very good job with that. I'm still not going to play it.
It strikes me as a game that I'll play when it's on sale.
Yeah,
So,
that's
and
a good call.
that's not to say that and that's not to say that it looks like a bad game to me. It looks like a good game. It looks cool. But I'll probably just wait for it to be on
Right.
sale because there's just going to be so much to play. But people are super excited about this game. I mean, pretty much universally excited about this game. Anyway, delayed until 2021, so we'll have to wait a little bit longer. Number 8, new details for several PlayStation 5 games emerged this week from new store listings on Amazon Australia. Here we go again, another country leaking
Another
stuff.
random country.
Gematsu reported the listings for Demon's Souls, Gran Turismo 7, Destruction All Stars, Returnal, and Sackboy: A Big Adventure, which included box art and description write ups for each title. Worth noting are that the Demon's Souls page also included new screenshots of the game captured straight from the PlayStation 5. while the description confirmed that the multiplayer functionality from the original game is migrating to the PlayStation 5 remake. Also, the description for Returnal revealed that each new life in the game doesn't just change the environment, which we already knew,
Mhm.
it also changes the equipment that is available to the player, which I'm not sure that we knew. A full summary of the new listings can be found on Gematsu's website for those of you that are interested. What do you think about any of this?
These are the kind of leaks that I enjoy. Just weird stuff to read about games, the game details. It's kind of like
Mm-hmm.
the minutia of the gaming stuff that we like to read about.
Mm-hmm.
Every time I read something about Returnal, I get a little bit more interested. So now the equipment changes, right? So now I'm
Mm-hmm.
now I'm loving it 'cause it's like you could theoretically spawn in a world that you literally can't beat. Like you just don't have the right stuff. Or the
Yes,
next time you could spawn
that's
into a
true.
world and just be completely overpowering. Like you could just
That's
you'd be Hulk in an anthill.
that's a great point. Never thought about it that way. Yeah, that's awesome.
I mean that I don't know. That just sounds fun to me. I've always
Yeah.
I mean it just sounds fun to just I never played a game like that and I can't wait to see more about it.
So a couple things here. First of all, did you see any of the box? Did you look at any of the box art images for any of this stuff?
Yes, and they're a million times better than anything EA Sports did this year.
So my personal opinion is that Destruction All Stars had the best out of all the ones here.
Mhm.
And then I thought the Returnal one was really cool
Right. Yeah.
with all the cracked helmets
That was
showing
my
all the
favorite.
different runs. Yeah, that one was super cool. It made me even more interested in that game, and I think
Mhm.
it made other people more interested in that. So,
There's gonna be some really cool fan art and some really cool, like, cosplay stuff from that game. I'm
mhm.
just saying.
And so the second point that I wanted to make here is the fact that these games in particular got the listings and the info and the screenshots and everything, or the box art, makes me pretty much think that this set of games are this is what you're going to get the first 8 months,
Right.
6 to 8 months. All these are going to be out.
Yeah.
So that's why I kind of think Returnal might be like that
Mhm.
July, August window.
Yeah. It also made
These
me
all,
it also made me think that these are games they really believe in, that they've seen enough to think that they're worth putting this
right,
kind of effort into.
right. And the fact that we have seen all these games at the PlayStation 5 reveal event
Mhm.
really kind of makes me feel like these are going to come sooner rather than later. Like these aren't 2022 or 2023
Right.
games, you know what I mean? So, and some of them we already know that we pretty much like with the Demon Souls leaks and stuff like that.
Mhm.
So it's exciting. Everything's just kind of building up here, Travis. Number 9, Hitman 3 developer IO Interactive took to the PlayStation blog this week to further detail how players will interact with the game on PlayStation VR, and it appears to be an incredibly immersive VR experience. When discussing moving around the environment, IO stated, quote, "When you don't play in VR, you can bump into characters and they'll scold you for being clumsy. In VR, the layers of interaction needed to be deeper. So we've added reactions and trigger dialogue when you tap someone on the shoulder, for example." End quote. This was demonstrated in the blog post with a video clip showing the player tapping a guard on the shoulder and then holding R2 to make a fist and then punch the guard in the head. IO is also focusing on the blending mechanics of the game to create immersion, writing, quote, "In VR, we're even going for full immersion when you're cleaning tables and don't plan to rely on automation," meaning automating the task or the animation. "You can now act the part and finally live out your waiter dreams of cleaning tables," end quote. So, Travis, please tell me you went to the blog post and you looked this up.
Yeah. I've already lived out my dream of cleaning a table. Um, I was gonna mess around and make me get VR.
Fuck, I know.
First of all, it's hilarious. Just the video of him tapping the guard and punching him. It's kind of funny.
It was great. It looked awesome.
So we kind of saw a little bit of this in that one trailer where they're showing like when you're in VR and you could look and see the camera as opposed to how you would normally deal with the cameras,
Uh huh.
kind of with your third third person view. So
Uh huh.
this is kind of an extension of that. And again, I didn't see this coming, so now I can't wait to see more. I want to see what the hand to hand combat looks like. I want to know if they're having issues with it too. I want to see what the gun hand play
Mm
looks like. I have so many, it kind of makes me wonder, like, if you're cleaning the table, but you're trying to listen and watch somebody and you like,
hmm. Mm
knock
hmm.
over something, do they notice how shitty you are as a waiter and it like blows your cover?
Ooh.
Like,
Oh,
I
yeah.
can't pretend to do certain things because I have no idea how to, like, I don't know how to properly cut up a steak or something. Like, can you not beat that cover guy? So,
Dude, I'm gonna tell you, when I saw that second clip of him cleaning, like, bussing, like, cleaning the counter or whatever
yeah.
with the rag, and he's, like, looking over and the guy's, like, talking to him, and dude's, like, cutting up potatoes or whatever, and he's, like, blending it. I loved that. Like, that is what VR can
What it
be,
should be.
is yeah, that's what VR can be. Like, you walk up, he blends in, and, like, you're actually doing the task, and like, instead of hammering the nail and you're just sitting there watching him hammer the nail on the regular game, like, this time you'll actually hammer the nail in and
Yeah.
shit. Man, that sounds so
And I
awesome.
also love the idea of one of our wives coming in and we have our dumb VR headset on and we're, like, mimicking mopping a floor. And she's like, "What are you doing?" Like,
That's I know.
"I'm trying to kill the
That'll be
Iranian president."
hilarious. That's hilarious. Oh man, we might have to go. We may have to convince John to buy that so we can go try it.
Right.
Number 10, the Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War multiplayer reveal took place on Wednesday. The developer of this year's multiplayer suite, Treyarch, gave us a look at what's new in Black Ops Cold War, including new maps set in locations such as Miami and the North Atlantic Ocean, as well as new game modes like the 6v6 VIP Escort, 12v12 mode Combined Arms, and the 40-player mode Fire Team, as well as Control, which is returning from Black Ops 4. Movement has also been tweaked in Black Ops Cold War, with sprinting now slowing down towards the end of the animation, more natural jump heights, and more. Features like weapon mounting and door interaction are long gone, however, and Treyarch also threw in a sizzle teaser for the zombies mode. Finally, they revealed that the open beta begins first on PlayStation 4 on October the 10th, with early access beginning on October the 8th for those who pre-order the game. What'd you like about this, or what'd you not like about it?
I thought the maps look cool. I really like the Miami map. I like the idea of the ocean map where you're on multiple ships. I wanna see how that plays out on all the game modes. It might be one of those maps that just sucks ass on, like, team death, but it's great on, like, domination or something. But
Hmm.
anyway, I thought it all looked really good. I thought it looked better than I thought this year's Call of Duty looked when I saw those teasers, to be honest.
Sure. Yeah, I was a little apprehensive after we saw the leaked footage that we talked about last week, and this made me feel better about it, more confident in it, specifically because the one of the developers came on and talked about the gun design and sound design and
Yeah,
animation.
that
Do you
was really
remember that?
cool. That was really cool.
And it sounds like that they are really putting time in to make the guns feel like they, like guns, have recoil and sound good and everything. So I was most worried about that because I didn't want it. We talked about them feeling like looking like they shoot like lasers and that sort of thing. So
Mhm.
I mean, the guns are the most important character, you could argue, in a first person
I
shooter,
would agree.
especially Call of Duty. So they have to get that right. The maps looked cool. I will say I'm probably in the minority on this from what I can tell on Reddit, but I'm gonna miss the mounting of walls and objects and everything. And I'm also gonna miss the opening of doors. So
Right.
I'm probably in the minority, but that just kind of adds to the immersion of it because you know that those dudes in real life are mounting on a wall and on a
Yeah,
corner
and
and
that's
whatever.
fair.
So
And I mean,
yeah,
it makes the map easier too. If the doors don't open, if a door is closed, it's not a threat. And you
correct.
also know, like, one of the most difficult things to deal with on this year's game is if a guy is mounted in a good spot, there's not much you can do. Like, you're gonna have to
That's fair.
headshot him or hit him with an ice grenade or something, right? So it does take that
Yeah,
element out. Um,
that's fair.
I guess, like I said before, I always think of Black Ops as different than Modern Warfare. Whenever Treyarch is
True.
involved, and that little thing makes him different enough for me.
Hmm.
I don't know. Who knows? I might play it and miss it. I might mount more than I realize.
I'm kind of like you. Like once I've got it pre-ordered, so I'm gonna get the game. Looks cool. I'm in. But I wonder if after I play it for a few weeks, a month, if I'm going to be like, damn, I kind of miss Modern Warfare. And it's going to be one of these deals where it's when it's like, $15 on a sale in January, we decide to go back to Modern
It'll be the
Warfare.
first time.
No, it wouldn't be. So we'll see how that shakes out. Number 11, the Battlefield Twitter account appears to be teasing the next installment of the franchise, known to be Battlefield 6. Website PlayStation Universe reported that the official Battlefield Twitter account disappeared on the franchise's 18th anniversary. Uh oh. Meanwhile, popular streamer Jack Frags, who we enjoy,
Mhm.
posted a video with a stopwatch ticking ominously, which was then retweeted by DICE senior designer Nicholas Astrand. What do you make of this?
One thing, this is off topic kind of. I think Battlefield does a much better job of the control point game modes than Call of Duty. And I'm
100%.
not sure what that is. Is that because of the Call of Duty follows the lane format and Battlefield
Hmm.
doesn't? I think maybe.
Yeah,
I don't know what it is. And I get like every time there's a new Battlefield game, I know I'm not going to enjoy it as much as Battlefield 1, and it
you're right.
legitimately like I have like a legit emotional reaction where I'm like a little bit sad, like a little depressed. It's like I had so much fun on that game, put so many I mean,
Yeah,
God knows how many hours I put into that game. I might have put over 200 hours online at least. That might be
sure.
short actually. It might have been way more than that. Plus the
Yeah,
campaign.
easily.
I don't know. It's like I broke up with somebody or like my wife died. I don't know. Every time there's a
Sounds
new one, it
awful.
hurts a little bit.
Well, 5 was not good, as we've talked about. So 6 is going modern, from what we understand.
Right, which will be cool. I'm excited about it.
Yeah, that'll be fun. And I mean, it's going to be next on a next gen, built on the next gen console, except it's going to be, downsized, downgraded for the Series S.
Mhm.
So we'll have to
Oh,
see what they can do.
one thing we didn't talk about the Call of Duty Battlefield made me think of this is we saw some vehicles on the Black Ops trailers and some of the gameplay that we normally haven't seen in those game modes.
Ah, yes, yeah. So the 40 team fire team mode, whatever, 40-player
Mhm.
fire team mode. There's going to be like helicopters and like dune buggies and shit like that. So
Yeah, that should be pretty cool to play with.
yeah, yeah. Number 12, publisher 505 Games and developer Remedy Entertainment appear to be losing control of a confusing situation,
The
Travis.
second one.
As previously announced, only owners of the Control Ultimate Edition would be entitled to a free upgrade on the PlayStation 5 version of the game. However, website Push Square reported on Thursday that some owners of the current deluxe edition of the game were silently receiving free upgrades to the Ultimate Edition, which were then quickly reverted. But the damage was already done, as Push Square noted, quote, evidence now clearly suggests that the deluxe edition of Control can be upgraded to the Ultimate Edition, thus granting a free upgrade to the PlayStation 5. But 505 Games and Remedy continued to deny the ability exists at the time of writing, end quote. So, are you familiar with this situation at all?
Yeah, and listen, I love you, Push Square, but you misspelled confirms. It doesn't suggest that, it confirms that.
Yes.
This is, as my British friends on F1 say, this is fucking brilliant. Like, way to go, guys. I mean, my first question is it a mistake? Do they want to test it to see if it would work and it was going
Mm,
to be like a surprise? Or was some guy
mm.
like, this is BS. I don't like what we're doing. I'm just going to do it.
I had the same thought of like, hey, we're getting so much shit for this. Let's see if we can actually make this work. And then they like hit the wrong button and mistakenly did
Right.
it. And they're like, oh, no, no, no. And then, they reverted it back. So
Why are
who
they
knows?
denying it if we can see the ability? Like, I
I,
don't understand.
I don't know. It's not a good look. So because in the beginning they said, look, we haven't figured out a way to make it work to be able to give everybody that owns control a free upgrade to next gen. We haven't been able to figure out a way to make it work.
Uh-huh.
They said the only way we can make it work is with the Control Ultimate Edition because it's actively in development. That if you buy that, we can make it to where you can get the free upgrade. Well, that's a fucking lie. They're like the like the Tyler the Creator meme,
Right.
and that's so it's a joke. I love the game and I like Remedy, but this is I want to know when this comes out in the wash, is this on Remedy? Is this
Mhm.
on 505, the publisher? Are they just trying to make more, milk the money
Right.
out of
It
this
seems
thing?
like that's what they're doing, but who knows?
Because it didn't sell well. It didn't sell well. So maybe they're just trying to milk this thing. I don't
Right.
know.
They really need to remedy the situation. Right, guys.
Oh, third one. Number 13, the latest Ubisoft Forward event took place on Thursday with several games featured during the show. The show started off with Immortals Phoenix Rising, the artist formerly known as Gods and Monsters. We saw a trailer for the game, which featured character creation and customization, loot, and we basically learned that the game is a Zelda Breath of the Wild and Greek mythology clone. It's an open world with different regions, and we also got a bit of gameplay following the show on the post show stream. The game will release on all platforms on December the 3rd. That was followed by Prince of Persia: The Sands of Time remake, which we've talked about several times here now, has been rumored. It's now confirmed. We got a trailer for the game highlighting some of the upgrades and remakes in the game. It'll be out on January 21st. That was followed by Hyperscape, the new battle royale game from Ubisoft. We got a gameplay montage trailer from streamers, and they announced that a new limited time mode was coming called Turbo Mode.
Do you want to remind people your review of that game?
Dog shit. Don't waste your time. Dog shit. Rainbow Six Siege was up next. We received a live action trailer for the first World Cup tournament coming in the summer of 2021. Former NBA star Tony Parker is going to be an official ambassador for the Rainbow Six Siege World Cup, which is super odd.
Really?
Rainbow Six Siege is also getting a free upgrade to 4K. I'm sorry. Rainbow Six Siege is getting an upgrade to 4K and 120 frames per second by the end of this year. It will be free for all current owners of the game. Then we finally got confirmation of the long rumored Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, the game re-release. It's going to be in the form of a complete edition with DLC included. We received a gameplay trailer and we learned that it releases this holiday, 2020. That was followed by Watch Dogs Legion. We got a recruitment gameplay trailer, which featured some British rapper called Stormzy.
Oh yeah,
We
he's very famous.
Okay, good. We also learned that Aiden Pierce from the original Watch Dogs game will be a playable character coming as post-launch DLC.
That's pretty sweet. It's like every week we get a little nugget of Watch Dogs, and it's always cool.
I know. I'm super excited about this. I may end up biting the bullet. We'll see. Finally, the show closed out with a game called Riders Republic. It's a new game from Ubisoft Annecy, the creators of Steep. We got an announcement trailer, and we learned that it is a massive multiplayer extreme sports game with mountain biking, wingsuiting, skiing, snowboarding, paragliding, and jetpacking, to name a few. The game has 7 regions, and it has some type of career mode with sponsored events and some type of tie-in with the X Games. You can play in both first and third person. And finally, we learned that the game will release on February 25th. That game was the best looking game of the entire stream outside of Watch Dogs Legion, which we've already seen. But as far as everything, like total package, that was the coolest looking one we've seen.
Yeah, it's like a athletic battle royale kind of.
Yeah,
or so like a non-racing crew or something like that.
Yeah, it looks cool. I'm interested. I'm going to keep my eye on that. Is there any other thoughts or comments on any of that we just talked about?
How is Rainbow Siege still a thing?
Dude, it's huge. It's huge.
Do we play that right? I'm just not good at it, which is fine.
We're awful at it.
I don't. Now it's the point where I couldn't even get good if I wanted to.
Correct.
But
they're going to do that World Cup in like a huge like football arena,
right,
basically.
So it's like CS:GO now.
Correct.
Which is cool. Listen, I'm all for it. I mean, that's pretty sweet. Hopefully we can get, I remember we used to play the crap out of Rainbow Six. Remember like all the crazy stuff they'd yell at us? Like the terrorist games.
The terrorist hunt was awesome. Yes. I think Siege has terrorist hunt, but I don't remember ever playing it. Number 14, we've got several news nuggets here, Travis, as usual, to get through. Feel free to jump in if you'd like. The first nugget here is some more Ubisoft news. They announced that Assassin's Creed Valhalla has been moved up a week and will now release on November the 10th to coincide with the launch of the Xbox Series X and S.
There's your Xbox launch game.
Oh, Christ. Also, Ubisoft also announced free-to-play, team-based multiplayer roller derby game, Roller Champions, will launch in early 2021.
I've been trying to figure out what the hell this is. So
everybody wants to be Rocket League, bro.
Right. Well, when I was a kid, roller derby used to come on like whatever Spike TV was before it was Spike. I can't remember.
Oh, yeah.
And they would interview the girls and it would be like wrestling. They'd be like these crazy it was just some bullshit. It wasn't real. That's what roller derby is to me, and I can't imagine how that would be a fun game because you just go in circles. It's like NASCAR on roller skates.
I watched the trailer or whatever. It didn't look very fun to me, but it's also not for me. So
who's it for? Lesbians?
Oh God! I don't children. People would play Fortnite and.
Oh, okay, that's what you meant. I'm sorry.
Oh man. Also, Travis, developer EA Motive announced that Star Wars Squadrons has gone gold. Don't waste your time, guys. It's dog shit. Sony announced this week that Minecraft will be coming to PlayStation VR later this month in a free update to current owners with the entire game playable on the headset. CD Projekt Red announced that the next Cyberpunk 2077 Night City Wire stream will take place on September the 18th and will feature a tour of Night City.
Does this include the desert area that I just learned about?
It might. It might. Who knows?
I was doing the thing where you learn as little about a game as you can, like I do with movies. And
Sure.
then today I watched that video with a bunch of stuff to know about Cyberpunk, and then they were like, you can
Mm.
go to the desert like Mad Max." And I was like, "What's happening?"
You've still got to decide if you're in on that or not.
I know what
You're
it's
going to
going
be
to
a
turn
huge
into.
nerd.
I know what it's going to
Well,
turn
it's
into.
fine.
I know video games are made for that,
That's what they want.
but it's
They
just
want you.
it's so exhausting. And I mean, listen, then I'm going to feel like I did it about Battlefield 1 where nothing's ever going to be that good again.
Well, of course not. But well, not of course not. Not in the near future. But that's what they want. They want you. They need you. They need you deeply.
They need me to be V.
Yes, they need you deeply. Website DualShockers Travis reported that Hong Kong-based distributor GameSource Entertainment leaked a PS4 listing for Ninja Gaiden Trilogy with a March 2021 release date. The listing has since been taken down. That Annapurna and website DualShockers also reported that Annapurna Interactive will release an 8-game PS4 physical disc collection. For $200, you can get Donut County, Kentucky Route Zero, Outer Wilds, Sayonara, Wild Hearts, Wadham, What Remains of Edith Finch, Telling Lies, and Gorogoa. Publisher Codemasters announced that Dirt 5 has been delayed yet again and will now release on November the 6th on PlayStation 4 with a free upgrade to PlayStation 5 for those who purchase.
Just make it a launch game. I mean, it basically is now. It's another Xbox launch game.
Yeah, correct. Website PlayStation Lifestyle reported that Marvel's Avengers topped the UK physical sales charts last week, ahead of both NBA 2K21 and Tony Hawk's Pro Skater.
That's right. Suck it, Ronnie.
PlayStation Lifestyle also reported that development has been rebooted on Ubisoft's pirate ship combat game, Skull and Bones, which we mentioned earlier, and is, quote, in full swing with a new vision, according to the game's creative director. Sounds like the new vision is to make it quadruple A. PlayStation Lifestyle also reported that publisher developer CI Games announced a new studio, Hexworks, which is the team behind the upcoming Lords of the Fallen 2, which is in production for the PlayStation 5. They also reported that Just Cause developer Avalanche Studios is working on its, quote, largest and greatest AAA project ever, end quote. That's more like it, guys.
That's a pretty low bar.
That's more like it. Yeah. Website PlayStation. What do you say?
It's the best AAA project ever, but the worst quadruple A ever.
Yeah, shit. Website PlayStation Universe reported that Kingdom Hearts will get a new installment to coincide with the game's 20th anniversary in 2022, according to game director Tetsuya Nomura.
When do you think we'll know Mora?
Oh, that's the fourth one. I love
I'm
it.
proud of that one.
PlayStation Universe also reported that Isle of Siptah, a new expansion for online survival game, Conan Exiles, will release on PS4 in early 2021.
That guy sounds like a damn sheik.
Mm.
Isle of Shiptod. He comes out, he has like AK, he's shooting AK during his wedding with a tiger.
Makes me think of Superbad. You little sister.
Yeah.
Website Gamatsu reported that publisher East Asia Soft will release a limited physical edition of Root Double Before Crime After Days Extended Edition.
Nobody,
Good God.
nobody knows what that is.
For the PlayStation Vita. Pre-orders will open on September the 10th at play-asia.com. Gamatsu also reported that a remastered version of first-person shooter Rise of the Triad will release on PlayStation in early 2021. That dark fantasy action-adventure first-person shooter, Graven, a spiritual successor to Hexen 2, will launch on PS4 and PS5 sometime in 2021. That Monster Boy and the Cursed Kingdom will come to PlayStation 5 at an unknown date, and it will feature native 4K 120 frames per second and DualSense support. That 17th century dark fantasy turn-based strategy RPG, Black Legend, will launch on PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5 in 2021.
Some of these games sound like when I put a listing on Etsy I have to put in all these descriptive words. That's what they're doing. Just every fucking
It's
keyword. Da, 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 da.
it sounds like when I make a post on Instagram and I'm trying to figure out 30 hashtags, and
Right.
I'm just dark 17th century dark fantasy turn-based strategy. All right,
No, don't
just
forget the dash.
typing all that shit in. Good lord. Gematsu also reported that third-person action role-playing game Chronos Before the Ashes will come to PS4 on December the 1st. The game is a prequel to Remnant from the Ashes,
Right. That makes sense.
which is a rather popular game. They also reported that Slash and Blast action side scroller Blind Fate Edo no Yami will release on PS4 and PS5 at some point in the future. That co-op survival crafting game The Survivalist will launch on PS4 on October 9th. That vertically scrolling arcade shoot 'em up or shmup Rangok Skies is coming to PS4 in quarter 4 of this year.
So Galactica or Galaga.
Galaga,
Is that
correct?
what that is?
Yeah, that's what it sounds like to me. Gematsu also reported that side scrolling adventure game Guild of Darksteel is releasing on PS4 in quarter 1 of 2021. That space based management sim, which we just talked about recently,
Hmm.
Space Base Startopia, has been delayed to spring 2021. That turn based tactical RPG Warsaw, which looks cool, will launch on PS4 on September the 29th. That first person horror game The Origin Blind Maid will come to PS4 in quarter 1 of 2021. That the Panzer Dragoon remake, which has been stranded on Google Stadia, will be coming to PlayStation 4. And finally, that VR hack and slash roguelite Until You Fall will launch on PlayStation VR on September the 29th. And that is all for the news. Travis, let's move on to this week's new game releases. Take it away.
This week on PS4, we have Alpha Dia Genesis, Avicii in Vector Encore Edition. Shout out to Avicii, rest in peace. We also have Puzzler, Batu Ta Batu. We have the horrifying horror game, Case Animatronics. Have you read into this?
No, I stay blind on this, so you can
All
tell
right.
me.
Okay, so I find animatronics terrifying anyway. Like people find clouds creepy, I find animatronics creepy.
Hmm,
In this game, they're just scary animatronics. It's everything I hate.
interesting. Sounds
Next
awful.
next up we have Darkness Roller Coaster Anniversary Edition. We have Golf Zero. We have Hot Shot Racing, which I've heard is mediocre. We have Inertial Drift, Kingdoms of Amalar Re-Reckoning,
Good job.
Marble Dual Bundle, which looks like a mobile game,
Hmm.
Mask of Mists. Then we have Necromunda, Under Hive Wars. Then we have Okuno Ka Madness,
Mm-hmm.
Quest Hunter,
Hmm.
Party Hard 2, Andrew WK, Andrew WK the sequel.
Read it last week too, by the way.
Oh, nice. RPG, Maker MV, Takotan, Tamarin, The Suicide of Rachel Foster. It's the third time we've read that, and the third time she's killed herself.
She can't stop dying.
Uh, Timberman VS, Tony Stewart's All American Racing, which is a
Oh
large
hell
improvement.
yeah!
It's a large improvement over last year's Tony Stewart
I
All American
can't wait to
Racing.
turn left in my V8 motor.
Hey, on that one you can do some dirt racing, you can do some sprint cars and some modifieds, so it's interesting. It's about the only game you can do that except for iRacing.
Still with V8 motors though, right?
100%, always. And last but not least, Word Herd,
Hmm. Heard word.
and that is all for the new game releases.
Sweet. All right, Travis, let's start to wrap things up here. Wanted to talk to you this week as a wrap up about a updated sort of state of PlayStation, and also now that we know the Xbox price and release dates and when pre-orders are going to open, just trying to connect the dots here and see where
Mhm.
we think things stand currently as of September the 11th on where and when we're going to get more news. So, first off, I guess we'll start with Xbox. We know now that the Xbox is both the Series S and the Series X are going to release on November the 10th. The
Mhm.
Series S, which is the less powerful, will be $299.99 in the US. The X is going to be $499 in the US. And we also know that pre-orders are going to go live sometime on September the 22nd for the console.
Right.
So we did not hear anything from PlayStation this week. They essentially skipped the 25th anniversary of PlayStation. They didn't say a damn thing that I saw about it.
About anything.
Yeah, I didn't see them say anything about it. Sony, the official Sony Twitter account did, but PlayStation had nothing to say. That was also the day I think that Xbox confirmed all of their information. So they was kind of a middle finger to PlayStation, I guess.
Right.
Didn't get anything yesterday because Ubisoft did their thing. Wednesday was also the Call of Duty reveal.
Mhm.
And then today was September the 11th, which is the anniversary of the terrorist attacks in America. So we knew there was not going to be anything today. So that leaves us with basically 6 business days between now and when Xbox pre-orders go live, correct?
Right. I mean, that's our timeline. They have to give us something before the pre-orders start.
That's my question. Do you think we're going to hear something before the Xbox pre-orders go live? And if so, what do you think we're going to hear? Do you think we're just going to hear the stuff that we now know about Xbox as far as price, release date, pre-orders? Do you think we're going to get that and we're going to get more PS5 news like the launch lineup, all that sort of thing? So what are your thoughts?
Well, I think they have to give us what Xbox gave us in the next 6 days. They gotta at least give us they at least have to match what we know
Mhm.
before the pre-orders go live so people kinda know what their choice is. I don't think we'll know launch lineup for maybe until a week or 2 weeks before. I think that, some of the games might not even be certified yet, and that might be what they're waiting on.
That's fair. Yeah, that's a good point.
The price point I think is interesting. PlayStation obviously wanted to wait for Xbox so they could be competitively priced, and we've seen since then that PlayStation we knew they had a range, and we've seen since then that they're going to have to cut the price down from what they wanted to put it to be kind of competitive with Xbox. So what does that mean? Does that mean we get the disc version at $4.99 and the discless at $4.50? I don't know.
Right.
Maybe they're both at $4.50. Well, we know the disc will be more expensive, but I doubt we're going to see one at $2.99 or $3.99. I can't imagine that.
Okay. So I do agree. I think that we're going to have to find out price, release date, pre-order date before Xbox does that. Opens up before Xbox opens their pre-orders on the 22nd. Even if you might let Xbox open their pre-orders first. Maybe they'll do that. I don't know. But at the very least, I think you want to get that information out there for the consumers to be able to make an informed decision because there are plenty of people that are unlike you and I who are absolutely going to get a PS5. There are people who are on the fence or they're going to
Hmm.
they're going to make a buying decision. So
Right.
you want them to have the info to make that decision. You don't want them just to by default get an Xbox because I can play, Call of Duty Black Ops on Xbox. I'll just go with that. I'll just get it right, whatever. I'll just order that when I can order it on the 22nd. I can knock off a Christmas gift and forget about it.
Yeah.
So my guess is that on Monday we get an announcement of some sort. I think that maybe they'll even give us price, pre-order, release date information. At the very least, they're going to announce an event for Thursday the 17th. This is just guess speculation, by the way. I think that they're going to have something because recent history, they've made an announcement on Monday. They've had an event on Thursday. So I think maybe they'll stick with that pattern and they'll do something on Thursday. The only day next week I think that they avoid is Tuesday, and that's because
Hmm.
Apple is having an event on Tuesday, and
Right.
they're supposed to unveil a new line of Apple watches, and
Okay.
that's not a competition to PlayStation 5 directly. However, I think Sony wants to be the only thing going on whenever they say what they have to say,
Oh, for sure.
and secondarily, a $200 or $300 Apple Watch coming out this fall absolutely competes with PlayStation for Christmas gifts and people that are not hardcore gamers. Well, I can buy a new Apple Watch or I can buy a gaming console. You know what I mean? So
Hmm.
there's some indirect competition there because it's technology. It's consumer electronics.
Right.
Anyway, I think that we're going to hear something on Monday and then maybe something else like an actual video or stream on Thursday.
Mhm.
It wouldn't even surprise me if maybe they just go for it on Monday and then say, "Hey, pre-orders are going to go live on Friday, the 18th." Wouldn't shock
You
me.
never know.
Wouldn't shock me. I
But
honestly
there's no way. Go ahead.
I was going to say I honestly think that they should beat Microsoft on pre-orders. I think they should get it out there before Microsoft. And not that they haven't necessarily have anything to worry about for Microsoft, but man, that's just a big time kick in the nuts if they can just go ahead and do that. I don't know.
Right now, yeah, why not if you can handle it?
Yeah.
We're not gonna get what's to see, like, what the interface looks like. We're not gonna get to see any of that stuff anytime before they tell us the price, release date, or pre-order. There's no shot.
It's starting to look like that for sure. It's starting to look like they're just going to drag this out as much as they can. And before I would have said there's no way, but the way things have been going to this point, I think you're right. I think they might just give us the pricing stuff. There's a possibility we might just get pricing and release date and pre-orders, and then
Right.
they might just say, "Hey, we're going to have an event in October, and you'll get to see the user interface. You'll get to see our launch games with new gameplay and so on." And they very well could do
That'd
that.
be my guess. That's what I expect to happen
Yeah,
because we still haven't seen any of that from Xbox, really.
right. True. Well, of course, they also don't have any games.
Burn. Is Apple the Microsoft or PlayStation? Like, you know what I mean? Like, which one are they more like? I was thinking about that earlier today,
Mm,
of consumer electronics, because I
mm,
guess Android would be the other one. I always link Apple and PlayStation together
I think so.
because of the design thing. Is mostly
Yeah.
why I link them
They
together.
usually have, like, a little bit more premium looking and feeling design, but
Yeah, a
also
little more polished.
yeah, but also Apple and PlayStation do things that are maybe not consumer friendly per se, like this whole thing going on with, like, Apple and Epic Games right now,
Right, yeah.
and, like, Sony, for instance, for the longest time wouldn't allow, crossplay, remember that?
Yeah,
When they
which
went
whatever.
when you couldn't play, with Xbox players and PC players and whatever, like, so Sony for the longest time wouldn't do that. And that sounds like something Apple would do to me. So yeah, I would think your comparison's fair. Well, Travis, that's all we've got, man. We're done. That is it for episode 13. If you guys enjoyed the show, please do us a favor and subscribe, leave us a review, and share us with a friend. We post every Sunday on your favorite podcasting platforms. You can find us on all of the big hitters like Spotify, Google Podcasts, and Apple Podcasts. You can also find us on the YouTube. If you would like to engage with us, again, you can reach us at Twitter at the DualSense Pod. You can also follow us on twitch.tv/the DualSense Podcast. We stream occasionally there, some very eclectic categories of games. Thank you guys for listening. Travis, thanks for joining me, and we will talk at you all next week.